Hello, my name is Curtis Fairhurst. I'm 54 years old and I live in Orlando, Florida. And the reason I want to be on the worst cooks in America is because I have a lot to learn. I'm inconsistent and I should be called the accidental chef. The reason being, no two meals ever come out the same. And I try to adhere to the recipe, to the protocols involved with the cutting and the time and the heat of the oven. But somewhere along the lines, I fall short. So there's inconsistency. I come from a long line of really good cooks on my mother's side. She's one of 9 sisters. They were all such very good cooks. In fact, my Aunt Christine made her own cookbook, and it's got everything in it. I've tried a couple of these: steak pizzaiola, chicken parmesan. Some of those I've come out with really great results, and others not so much. So I'm kind of an embarrassment in that respect in my family. And if you look around at my kitchen, you'll think perhaps that I'm a chef. For instance, I've had one of my wooden spoons painted up and made into a piece of art because I used it for 20 years. But making pasta does not a chef make. I've got the chef's hat, you know, the accoutrements, my own apron, but I don't have the skills to back it up. I need work. I need help. So we're gonna make something today for you guys that I've never made before. One is garlic butter rice with kale and pistachios, and the other one is paprika chicken with mushrooms and onions. So I hope that'll show my cutting skills and lack of finesse or finesse in the kitchen. We'll see how this turns out. Where's this chicken? I forgot to buy chicken, which is the main protein in my meal. Two of these cutlets. All right, so the first thing we want to do is pound out the chicken, which I do not have a mallet, I think they call it, but I have a hammer, and that should work out fine. It's already kind of thin. This is a bit thicker, so I shouldn't have too much of a task before me, but let's give that a shot. All right. Make sure I close this up. All right. And this tenderizes the chicken, I guess, in a bit. It makes it thinner so that it cooks evenly, and you want it to cook evenly throughout. Next, what I want to do is I want to season it with a little smoked paprika, sweet paprika. A little salt and pepper. And on the other side as well. Here we go. All right, now we're going to cut up the garlic. We'll use a little for this dish and a little for our chicken dish, but this is going to be for the garlic rice and kale. I love the smell of garlic. Oh my God. Here we go. Then we'll just mince that up. And you could do this ahead of time too, but I wanted to show you my skills of garlic mincing and cutting. So take a while to get that garlic out. All right, here we go. Give it a rough chop. I guess the idea is not to have too many big pieces because nobody wants to chew on a big piece of garlic. So let me mince it up as much as I can. We're getting there. All right. So now we're going to chop up the kale, do a rough chop on that. I like to wash my hands before we do that, and then yeah. This is fun being filmed. Said no one ever. All right, let's see what we got here. Rough chop on the kale. Kale really works in this recipe because you know, kale in and of itself is not very delicious, at least not to me. I think most people share that opinion. But when you put it in a rice with garlic and butter and rosemary, I think it shines. So, all right, here we go. Rough chop of the kale. Chops up really nice. I don't know if that's because it's cruciferous or not, but all right. Well, kale's good for you. It's a superfood. And it's got a lot of great fiber, as I mentioned. So here we go. All right, we got the kale. Let me do a little more. It's gonna wilt, basically, so I'm not that concerned. All right, so now what we're gonna do is put a little olive oil over our kale. We're gonna massage the kale. A little salt and pepper as well. Sorry about that. All right, and I'll salt and pepper right here. All right. Trying to get every piece. Important to massage the kale. Kale likes this, actually. All right. Now that that's been done, we're going to take a break from the kale, and we're going to put our butter, a dollop of butter, 2 tablespoons, in the pan. We already started warming it up. Here we go. Medium-high heat. Get that butter in there. All right. We're going to take our rice. We're going to put it in here, in the butter. We're going to move the rice around. For, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. Just to get it immersed in the butter and get it, I guess, toasted, warmed up. And then we're going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. There's your first cup. Second one. All right. And then we're going to cover this.
Side note, I only agreed to film this because I thought I was getting food, but I'm a vegetarian and I just saw him pour chicken broth in the rice.
All right, now we're going to put the garlic in with the rice. And the kale will be put on in just a little bit. Now we're going to put the chicken in the pan. Let's do 2 tablespoons of butter. Get that all around the pan. Let that melt down a little bit. And then we'll put these chicken breasts in. They've been seasoned with sweet smoked paprika, which I like more than paprika. I think they use it mostly in Spanish dishes. And then I also have the normal pepper and salt. And so this is starting to melt down. Our rice is still cooking. We're going to put in our kale. in just a little bit. I'm going to let this cook for about 8 more minutes. And then this chicken dish is going to have onions in it, which I'm going to cut up next. And then also we'll have pistachios in this and different flavor profiles. That's what I meant to say. All right, so let's get the chicken on here now. We're going to cut up our onions and our portobello mushrooms. This recipe asks for onion rings. So I've never actually, I know this sounds strange, but I've never cut onion rings before. But it's just a matter of cutting them this way, I imagine. So I'm just going to take a little off the side there so that it can stay stationary. And now I just cut like this, so make them pretty thin. Whoops. All right, there, that's working. It wasn't so hard. It's getting a little dicey. All right. I guess that's plenty. That's good. And then we're going to cut the portobello mushrooms. Love portobellos. I'm not a vegetarian, but my son is vegetarian, and he's actually filming this right now. Thank you, son.
You're welcome, Dad.
And so I've learned to make some vegetarian meals. And I find myself during the week, I cook for myself because I work at night. I do a trivia game show at night, so I'm home during the day to cook. So I find that I prefer, oh, my eyes are starting to cry now from the onions, so I'm going to have to cut this for a second, but I prefer vegetarian dishes during the week. I find meat dishes kind of sometimes slow me down a little bit, but I'm not willing to give up meat yet, so. But I do need a tissue. All right. So another thing that I'm adding to this this dish here, this chicken dish, is rosemary. There's going to be a lot of flavors in there. I don't know what it's going to turn out like, but we're going to have the portobello mushrooms in there, the onions, the garlic, and the rosemary. So I'm going to just release the rosemary leaves from the stem, and I think that's the easiest way to do it, but where you just kind of go like this. I think I've seen Giada do that once. All right, and then we'll chop up that rosemary into small little bits. Rosemarettes, I call them. Here we go. What we're going to do now, it's been cooking about 10 minutes. We're going to remove the cover. We're going to turn the chicken cutlets over. Look, they got a nice golden brown, that's what we're looking for. And then I'm going to add our onions and our portobello mushrooms. Going to break them apart a little bit. And the portobellos. Love the portobellos. All right. Move that around a little bit. Also, I'm going to throw the rosemary in now, and the garlic, which will give it a nice fragrance as well as another flavor component to it. Not all the rosemary, just some of it. Some I want as an aromatic at the end. All right. We're going to put this kale in the rice. Rice is just finishing up. And yeah, we should be finished in about 5 minutes. Although we're going to let things rest. So, one more thing I forgot to mention. pistachios. We're gonna put pistachios in with this rice and kale. Let that heat up. Add a little crunchiness to the rice. It's good if there's crunchiness in the rice, as long as it's not the rice.
How's it going over here?
Actually, it smells good. I might have failed. I think this is gonna turn out good. All right, so I believe we're done. We're going to plate it now. Let's see here. Chicken breast, some portobello mushrooms, and some onions. Smells good. And then we're going to, the rice is a little sketchy, so I'm not sure. It's still kind of wet in there, but Manny will be our taste tester. We'll see how they went. That's kale, garlic butter rice with kale and pistachios. And I feel like there should be a garnish. So for one of a garnish, I'm just going to put this right there. All right, dinner is served.
What's in this?
The rice is tasty.
Yeah, it's almost as if, like, just think of a rice grain. You got the entire thing nice and cooked and soft, and there's taste in it. Just like the very ends are still like kind of like hard.
Like they could have waited a little longer.
Yeah. Just
See,
a little bit longer.
this is my curse with rice. That's why I stay away from rice dishes. That's also why I chose a rice dish, because this is where I need help. That's all I gotta say.
It's like chicken. The onions are nice. The chicken, to be super brutally honest,
Yes.
could use a little bit more flavor, but it's still good.
This is not good.
Sorry. One of the little chicken strip things went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it. I'm Curtis Fairhurst. That's my audition tape, and I hope you guys liked it.
Just to give a little additional background on his cooking, so it has improved a lot, I will say, but there have been some very questionable food items over the years. Like, when I was about 8, we had this new experiment he was trying, which happened to be apples and gravy, and like white bread also completely saturated in this gravy. It was the most disgusting thing I ever tasted, and we still kind of joke about it to this day, but I can't even explain what was running through his head when he came up with that idea. I think he was just going through a phase. He really has improved a lot, but I think there are still definitely quite a few dishes that he needs a little extra help with.
All right, so hold on. I didn't start off making apples and gravy. I started off making beef, apples, and gravy, and the beef I burnt, and it was like a briquette. So I left with apples and gravy. I thought apples are good, gravy's good, apples and gravy, everything's good.
Yeah, so that's sort of the rationale we're working with here. But no, I think he would be great for the show because he's got a long way to go, and I think this could really help.